Who would benefit off of you not locking in? When you think about you not showing up as your best, you not being your best, you not producing the results that you desire, who would benefit from that? Sometimes you have to step back in your life and you have to admit in this reality. We're not talking about nothing, we're not talking about anything really overly spiritual. I could get overly spiritual, but I'm not talking about nothing overly spiritual. I'm just talking about the desires of your heart as it relates to what you deem to be victorious and successful to you. Because everybody does not have the same concept of success. Everybody does not have the same idea about what accomplishments and achievements mean to them. Everybody got their own concept. So whatever that is to you, if you are not exactly where you want to be in your life, if you don't look like you want to look, if you are not accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish, if your quality of life is not where you want it to be, ask yourself, because it's easier to do this than to just be accountable. Okay. Ask yourself, who could benefit off of me not showing up as my best self, producing at my highest rate in terms of energy and activity and productivity, tapping into my creativity, sharing, parts of myself with the world through confidence or what have you, looking my best self, obtaining the money that I know that I deserve to have, accomplishing my academic or educational goals, so on and so forth. Who would benefit off of that? I find that if you ask that question, it's easier for you to go get you some fuel to use that as a battery in your back to make you want to get up and go do something. I have on the top, I have a board. When I wake up, there's a board on my wall that says, they want you lazy, fat, and broke. That's what I got on my board on my wall. They want you lazy, fat, and broke. The reason why I have that on my board is because that's what gives me fuel. And I'm just being honest. As a very optimistic and hopeful and positive person, I need I need the reality of how I know people have been to me in my life to give me the fuel that I need to get up and get things done. If I know that there are people who want to see me down, if I know there are people who don't want to see me at my best, if I know that I trigger people as myself at my best, then I want to lock in and do the thing that triggers people who have tried to break me. And I'm just being honest. A lot of people think like this. If people don't want to see you looking your best, having the most that they know that you can have, having financial stability and sustainability, being smart, being educated, having a great quality of life, being loved and being loving. If you know that there are people in your reality who have tried to rob you of all of those things, then your job should be locking in and doing everything that would trigger them, because it is your growth that they don't want to see happen in this reality or see you be able to maintain and sustain. That is how you conquer your demons, because it's not these people. A lot of times, demonic and dark behavior comes in the form of people to try to cause you resistance to your progress. And they usually come in the form of people who have been closest to you because they can do the most damage to you. And their overall job is to create this of burden for your life, to where you're so weighed down that you cannot get up and co-create with God and produce the best quality of life for yourself in this reality. I was just talking to a good friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about how people are so attached to this reality to the point where they will make up all kind of excuses for why they cannot do, why they cannot be, and why they cannot have. And a lot of it comes from trauma. People have tried to constrict you, restrict you, and limit you. They have tried to create boxes and prisons for your reality. And they do that by inflicting unnecessary pain and unjustifiable trauma onto your life. And they do it because your existence, who you are, how you operate, how you show up in life, it makes them very upset with themselves. You just being you just breathing, you just existing. Nothing that you done, nothing that you said, just you. you trigger people so much to where it makes them hate you. Not because they hate you, but because they don't like them. And you being you forces a mirror. And so as a result, if they're close enough to you, they're going to do something about it. And in many cases, they have tried to do something about it, to the point where they try to make it very detrimental, and they've tried to crush you, break you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially. And so when you survive those types of onslaughts, what it does to the human brain, to the human body, to the nervous system, it tells you that, well, since people have already caused you limitations and constrictions and restrictions, then to be safe, you too should only do but so much, because you know you and what you tried to do before, just unprovoking being yourself, how that has caused you warfare unnecessarily. So once somebody has waged enough war on you, they have conditioned you to do just enough, but not beyond what you can do for quote unquote the illusion of safety. So you yourself start to live a life of restriction. You understand? This is what happens when another man enslaves another man. This is what happens when human beings enslave other human beings. They have conditioned you through brutalization, trauma, torment so much that even if you're no longer in the confines or behind enemy lines, so to speak, once you get out of the environment, you have dealt with so much warfare and so many ambushes and so much trauma and so much pain being inflicted upon you. Your person doesn't become the thing that you fear. Fear itself becomes the thing that you fear, because you fear warfare happening again. So you yourself now have gone from being the slave to the master. You are the master in your own reality, but not for your benefit, at your expense. So you have been conditioned to enslave yourself. They've done that to you. Because as somebody who coaches people, what I hear a lot is they won't let me. They won't allow me to do this and that, especially people who have been stalked, people who perpetually deal with harassment, people who have dealt with perpetual smear campaigns, people who deal with people who try to create a nuisance in your life. Those people deal with groups of individuals who have come together, who have tried to collectively create barriers to your progress. And that's a reality. That's not nothing nobody makes up. This happens a lot to very powerful people who have what they need, but they have been conditioned to believe that they don't have the connections because people have tried to interfere with all of their relationships in their life. You understand? And so what they have tried to condition a powerful person to believe is that in order for you to be successful as they fear you could be, is they isolate you, and they try to make you isolate yourself to where you believe, because of paranoia, and the paranoia came from evidence that has shown itself that these people have tried to be intrusive in all of your relationships. So even if you go in a different environment, you may be afraid to socialize and create connections there because you believe that this thing is going to repeat itself again, especially those who deal with resistance to your presence when you go into different environments. It has been a recurring theme. So it's not like you're just making stuff up. It just has been a recurring thing, no matter what environment. I've talked about this before. No matter whether you go to college campus, you go to work, or, you're in relationships, you get in friendships. It has been a recurring theme that people unprovokingly challenge you. They'll be cool at first, and before you know it, they're trying to challenge you and trying to strip you of your autonomy, or strip you of your independence, or strip you of your confidence. It's always something trying to challenge your existence. And you get tired and you become exhausted. And so in many ways, as I said before, because of this recurring theme, and you fear it repeating itself over and over again, even without you wanting it or desiring it, you just start creating all these barriers on your own. Okay, I'm going to talk to this, but I'm only going to do this. I'm going to go there, but I'm not going to go over there. And what it does, it creates a ceiling and a cap on your reality. And that is not your portion. Now, that may be a portion for somebody else, but that's not your portion. There are people on this earth who are very, 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 very powerful and independent. meaning they're not a part of any associations, they're not a part of any secret clubs, they're not a part of secret societies, they're not a part of sororities, fraternities, nothing. They are just powerful all on their own. And those are the people who deal with what I'm talking about right now. I find that your greatest restrictor and the greatest resistance to your progress is fear, because fear creates all of this other domino effects, right? Like fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, has been the primary dominant quote unquote demon in your life. That has been the dark anchor in your life. That has been the entity that has challenged you the most, the fear entity. Okay? And it comes from your attachment to this reality. I do not care anything about who people know and what type of pull they have in any spaces on this reality. I know who I am, and I know what type of God that I serve. And I serve a God of sovereignty. I serve a God of abundance. I serve a God of no bounds. Now, if I serve a God like that and I am made in that God's image, then I too have the ability to be limitless, boundless, and fruitful. And I do not care who you know. None of that can stop me from I got it made up in my mind, that I can do my purpose or die trying. Because after everything has been done to you, after you lost people, after you've lost things, after you lost things, things and people you thought you would never lose, and you survive, it does something to the mind. Okay. In one instance, it may make you fearful and create restrictions, but then for another person, it may make them so fearless to the point where they're like, well, since I've already lost and I've survived losing people, places, and things, then I just might as well just go all in and become the thing that they fear the most. Okay. I might as well just tap into my ability and my potential and just become that thing that they fear the most. Because even when I was downplaying myself, even when you were not at your best, even when you were shrinking yourself to not be a threat, you still had people threaten enough to do something about it. And you survived them doing something about it. So if you survived them doing something about it and it did not cause you to be off this planet, then what happens if you lock all the way in and become the person that they fear you becoming the most? What can they do? They've already tried to take you off the planet in many ways. People have tried to put stuff in people's food. People have tried to do all kind of black magic. People have tried to rally up the troops against you. People have tried to throw you in institutions. People have smeared you. People have tried to get people fired. Matter of fact, people have gotten a lot of people fired. People have tried to make you not look as appealing. People have tried to interfere with your family relationships, your friendships, your love relationships. People have tried to do everything to you, but yet you're still here. Yet you're still here. And so what that means is that if you're still here, then God is still moving on your behalf. And if that be the truth, why are you fearful? I just did a video talking about Freemasonry, secret societies, people leaving a lot of these secret societies and people denouncing and renouncing their memberships from these societies and getting delivered and set free and coming back into the realignment of the ministry of Jesus Christ and the fivefold ministries in Christianity. People really wanting to live for God. These people have been people who are a part of these secret organizations who have tried to make it their mission to stifle people. Okay. Now they say that they are charitable people and that they're here to be for the community and they do all of these good things. When you hear people who are a part of secret societies or a part of fraternities and sororities, the first thing they say is they are a charitable organization. They do all of this community work, but they never talk about the other side of being a part of these groups. If you look at this article, it's an article in France right now. There is a Masonic lodge that is being legally reprimanded. They're on trial because many people in particular lodge in France, they have tortured people. They actually call them a mafia network where they have done all kinds of wicked and evil things to law-abiding citizens, regular everyday civilians, to destroy these people's lives. Matter of fact, they've even taken people's lives, which is a very sad situation. But these people are on trial. Some of them are facing life in jail in France for the things that they have done to everyday, regular, innocent, law abiding people. And so, if you look at some of these organizations, sororities, they had these girls, young girls, older women had the young girls who were new pledges turning tricks in hotels and stuff with businessmen and executives and all kinds of things, and taking the money and bringing it back to women that were supposed to be mentors to these girls. And they were doing this under the guise of being sisters, older sisters to these young girls, because they knew that these girls wanted so desperately to be a part of something. Okay? Many people who are very powerful but found themselves in situations where there has been outside resistance to your progress, where people have tried to make it a mission to convey to you, you're not going to be a successful businesswoman or be a successful businessman if I don't want you to be, or if you don't get down with our squad or our organization or what have you. The only way you're going to be successful is if we say you can be successful. And if you don't join us, then we're going to make it our mission to, harass you or whatever, make your life very uncomfortable. And this is a message that has been conveyed to a lot of people, that you will not, and it's always people from certain places. I find that certain people, okay, there's a message that is conveyed to certain people that you cannot be bigger than the program, you cannot have more than the program wants you to have, and you cannot create a world where you are successful on your own merit. It has to be sanctioned by outside forces. And if you don't get with the program, then the program will suppress you, oppress you, enslave you, and force you to live a subservient life below and beneath your ability. And that is a lie from the pits of hell. There are self-made men and women, God engineered and self-made men and women. How did those men and women cut through the red tape of resistance in a society that operates off of the occult and operates off of secrecy and gatekeepers? How? That's where you need to start trying to get to when it comes to breaking through this invisible ceiling that has been placed over your life. Someone has made you a subservient slave in your own reality. And it's important for you to ask the question, who would benefit off of me not locking in? And if so, are there any people who have had stories just like mine or experiences just like mine that made it through beyond the calculated and manufactured attempts to keep them small? Who are those men and women? And how did they do it? Because they exist. Trust me, I do a lot of study. I do a lot of reading. I am enamored with this stuff. They exist. And I can tell you right now, if you're going to be in this society and you have accepted that you want to be a part of this social society, you're going to have to ask these very serious, hard questions, because it is not your portion to not be in the best shape of your life, not have the most money that you know that you can have and touch, not live the legacy that you desire and you think about in your head. Knowledge in your hand, it doesn't equal wealth. Okay, it's having wisdom is one thing, being knowledgeable is one thing, but your children and your grandchildren cannot eat off of that. They can't. They need something tangible. They need something concrete to show them that my grandmother or my mother or my grandfather and my father, that they went through the depths of hell and they made no excuses. And somehow they came out on the other side and lived a life beyond their imagination. They need to know that it is possible, that you can go through hell and still alchemize and transmute all of that has been thrown to you and still make something amazing out of it, and actually live a life of proof and evidence that not only God exists, but abundance is real for people like you. Your greatest enemy is also within your greatest friend. You yourself can be your greatest enemy, because after you go through warfare, the only thing you want to do is rest. You understand? You want to rest to regulate the nervous system because it has been in fight or flight for so long. And so what happens is, if God does get you out of the line of fire and he does allow you to rest and rejuvenate, that thing that is good at first can easily become detrimental as well. Because just like anything, good things can become bad. Okay, too much of anything cannot be good for the human mind, body, and soul. Where you've rested so much, where now your productivity, it has gone almost down to nothing, and you have to force yourself to get up, because if you don't, because you have not been able to rest because of constant warfare, consistently blow after blow after blow, what happens is you tell yourself, I am worthy of rest. I deserve to lay down. I deserve to not get up and do nothing. But who would benefit off of you not getting up and doing anything? Your enemy. Okay. And when I say your enemy, I'm talking about anything or anyone that does not want to see you be successful and progress in your life. So what happens is you have to talk to yourself and see that there are parts of yourself that has adopted the ideology of your enemy. And it will try to trick you to believe that you are worthy to do nothing now. But if you don't do nothing, you won't have nothing. If you don't do anything, you will not have anything. And that is important for you to understand, that you have rested enough. Your nervous system, it's calibrated enough. And then you have to be honest with yourself and say, I got to get my ass up and make life happen. I have to co-create with God, because yes, God will give you the tools, but he's not going to do the work. God will give you the tools, but he's not going to do the work. It's like he'll give, let's say your grass is 6 feet high. He will bless you with the lawnmower, but you got to get out there and push it. He will give you the things that you need, but he's not going to do the work to produce the results. That is something that you have to do. And so you have to force yourself, even when you deal with warfare, even when you deal with, people creating all this adversary towards you, even when you're on the workplace and your boss and your supervisor is bothering you and micromanaging you, you have to tell yourself, if I don't get up from here, if I don't show up today, if I don't get that workout in, if I don't save that money and move that money around, that there are people who are banking on me failing in life. And if I don't do what I know I'm supposed to do, I too am an enemy to myself.